Hare Krishna. So yesterday we discussed a good part of the part 1 of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We went from, how many of you remember the first part? How many of you were there yesterday? Very good. So the first part is describing Narad Muni's search for the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy, meaning Narad Muni's search for the greatest devotee. And it started from a very pious Brahmana who was the head of the Brahmana community in that area of Prayag. And so from the Brahmana directed him to the king who was worshipping the Lord in such a wonderful way. So the king directed him to Indra. Then when he went to Indra and started to glorify Indra as the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy, then Indra suggested that Brahma is the greatest devotee, greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy. Then Brahma pointed out to Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva pointed to Vaikuntha. And Parvati pointed that Lakshmi Devi is the greatest devotee in Vaikuntha. But when Narad Muni was about to leave for Vaikuntha, Lord Shiva told him actually the greatest devotee is Prahlad Maharaj. Then when he went to Prahlad Maharaj pointed out that even greater devotee, actually the greatest devotee is Hanuman. They're all giving reasons why they were superior in their service to the Lord. Then when he went to Hanuman pointed out that the Pandavas are the greatest devotee. When he went to Pandavas said that the Jadus are the greatest devotee. They are Krishna's relatives. So now Narad Muni came to Dwarka. Up to this much we covered yesterday. Narad Muni came to Dwarka. And then he was taken to the Sudharma assembly where everyone was waiting for Krishna. Krishna was not there. And they started to describe that among the Jadus, Uddhava is the greatest devotee. And hearing the glory of Uddhava, Narad Muni became so enchanted that he lost all composure. He just wanted to see where Uddhava is, and he was told that Uddhava is in the inner chamber of Krishna's palace. And with trembling all over, with faltering steps, Narad Muni in ecstasy entered into Krishna's internal palace, internal part of his palace. And there he saw Uddhava and the queens like Rukmini and Satyabhama and Kamsa's mother, Padmavati. They all were discussing about something. And then he found out that they all are in great anxiety, that although it is quite late, Krishna didn't leave the bed. Krishna was still lying in bed, covering his whole body with the bed sheet and with his chadar. And they found out what actually happened is last night Krishna had a dream of the Brajavasis, the residents of Vrindavan. And Krishna was feeling so bad that he was crying, and he was in such separation. Krishna couldn't get out of his bed. And then they started to discuss among themselves. And Balaram just mentioned that if Krishna is really so concerned about the residents, the condition of the Brajavasis, then why doesn't Krishna go there? He can very easily go to Vrindavan. And hearing that, Krishna started to cry, and he started to describe why he cannot go to Vrindavan. And that the residents of Vrindavan are in such deep love for him that if Krishna went there, they will be in a greater distressful condition, because then their anxiety will be when Krishna may leave them again. So while speaking like that, crying loudly, Krishna fainted. And seeing Krishna's condition, all those who were there started to cry. And the loud sound of their cry and lamentation due to anxiety reached the Sudharma assembly, and King Ugrasen, along with all the senior Jadu members and the ministers, they all came running. And at that time Brahma also arrived there, and seeing that condition, Brahma suggested that Garuda should take Krishna to New Vrindavan, that Vishwakarma created in the middle of the ocean, not far from Dwarka. New Vrindavan, there Vishwakarma created all these atmosphere of Vrindavan. And can they stop this noise in that they're washing pots? They don't have to create the sound like that. So they just ran. Then Balaram dressed up like a cowherd boy, and dressed up Krishna also like a cowherd boy, and tucked the flute on his left side, and the bugle made of buffalo horn on the right, and dressed him up, and Garuda carried Krishna and Balaram. Krishna still unconscious to New Vrindavan. There all the personalities were there. That's just like Vrindavan, and all the personalities, they're like their murtis were there. That's what Krishna, Vrindavan, Vishwakarma created there. And then Balaram woke up Krishna when Garuda placed them in Vrindavan. And Balaram said, Krishna, wake up, wake up. It's already so late. Everyone is waiting for you. All the cowherd boys are eagerly waiting for you to go to the pasturing ground with the cows. It's already so late. Then when Krishna woke up, he told Balaram, you know, brother, I had a wonderful dream. I saw that I got married to so many princesses, and I became a king somewhere. So Balaram said, okay, we'll discuss about it afterward. Now let's go. Everyone is waiting. So Krishna noticed Mother Jashoda, and so he said, Mother, are you upset with me that I slept till so late today? And that's why you're not talking to me? And Balaram said, come on Krishna, everyone is waiting, don't waste any more time, let's go. And while Krishna was going, Krishna was interacting, especially when he came to Radharani. The way he started to interact with Radharani, then everybody could see that how deeply Krishna is in love with her. And everybody, Narad Muni, who was actually watching from the sky, and he could see that Srimati Radharani is the ultimate recipient of Krishna's mercy. Then Krishna said, Balaram, brother, I never seen that new city there. Look, on the other side of Jamuna, there's a big city. And then Balaram said, Krishna, come back to your senses. Your devotees, the Pandavas are in great distress. Kamsa's associates and friends are all gathering together to launch their attack on Pandavas. Hearing that, Krishna became very upset. Whoever dares to harm my devotee, I am going to immediately destroy them. And in this way, Krishna came back to his senses and Garuda brought Krishna and Balaram back to Vrindavan. In this way, we get to see who is the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy. So this narration, as I mentioned yesterday, is going on as a discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Uttara Devi, his mother. When for 7 days Parikshit Maharaj heard the narration, Sukadeva Goswami's narration of Srimad Bhagavatam, Uttara asked, my dear son, I know you're going to leave now, but please tell me, what did you learn? What did you learn from your spiritual master? Please give me the proper answer. So impart that knowledge unto me. What you received from your spiritual master, please impart it unto me. And so, as a extension of Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj was describing this Brihad Bhagavatam to his mother. And this is now being described by Jaimini Rishi to Parikshit Maharaj's son, Janmejai. So that is actually the background of Srimad Brihad Bhagavatam. So Parikshit Maharaj, after he described the first part, then Uttara kept on telling him that from your narration I could understand different levels of devotional service. In this world, in this universe of 14 planetary system, the householders have access, or they enjoy, in 3 higher planetary systems, Bhurloka, Bhubarloka and Swarloka. And then those who are brahmacharis and sannyasis, they have access to the other 4 planetary systems, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. And after enjoying in those planetary systems, they come down to this earth planet again. And then those who are beyond that, the knowledge, the karma kanda and jnana kanda. Karma kanda is leading one to enjoy, or providing one the facilities to enjoy this material nature. The jnana kanda is giving one direction how to become liberated from this material nature, mukti. Karmakanda is leading to bhakti and Jnanakanda is leading to mukti, liberation. And beyond bhukti and mukti is pure devotion. And that pure devotion actually leads one to Vaikuntha, where one worships or develops his loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in awe and reverence, recognizing the Lord to be the Supreme Personality. They worship Him in awe and reverence as the Supreme Lord and Master, and recognizing their position as His servants. But beyond that is the region where one develops a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead free from awe and reverence. And that is the region where one develops a loving relationship with the Lord in the mellow of friendship, parental and conjugal. The highest form of devotion is to become a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So those devotees who have such intimate relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond the region of Vaikuntha. So what is that place beyond Vaikuntha where devotees have that relationship with the Lord? So is that point clear? Like she is saying that there must be a region in the spiritual world which is beyond Vaikuntha. So she asked, so please tell me if there is a place which is beyond Vaikuntha. Now here we have to understand that generally before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the Vaishnavas did not have a clear understanding of Vrindavan. They used to think that Krishna's Vrajalila, Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, is one of the pastimes of Krishna that he enacts in this earth planet. But through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we actually got to know that this Vrindavan is actually an extension of the spiritual world. And that Vrindavan is beyond even Vaikuntha. And so Uttara, here we can see, she did not have any understanding of what Vrindavan actually is, where Vrindavan actually is. Because general understanding is Vaikuntha is the ultimate region of the spiritual sky. But she concluded that these devotees have a deeper relationship, deeper loving relationship with Krishna, deeper than, higher than the residents of Vaikuntha. Therefore, they must have a special place in the spiritual sky which is beyond Vaikuntha. So Parikshit Maharaj then told his mother that, yes, mother, this kind of question had never been asked before. So now that you have asked me this question, I will describe what I learned from my spiritual master. And in order to reveal that fact, give you the clear understanding of that, I will relate to you a story from the Puranas, from the Vedic scriptures. And then he started to describe in a place called Prag-Jyotishpur. Prag-Jyotishpur is the region of Assam. Today's Assam previously was known as Jyotishpur. In Jyotishpur, there was a pious Brahmana whose goal of life actually was to enjoy this material nature, in this material nature. And in order to get the benediction for getting whatever he was desiring for, he was worshipping Devi. There is a temple of Kamakha Devi, Durga Devi. Actually, there are 52 pithas of Durga. And this Jyotishpur temple is not only one of them, is considered to be one of the principal one. Actually, what happened is when Sati left her body, hearing the insult of Lord Shiva by her father, she could not tolerate that insult of her husband, so she left her body. So when Lord Shiva got to know about that, he came, and picking up her body, he started to dance his Tandava Nritta, the dance of devastation. When Lord Shiva dances, the whole material creation is destroyed. And so the whole creation was about to be destroyed due to Lord Shiva's dance of disaster, Tandav Nritya. So seeing that condition, all the demigods approached Krishna. Please do something about it. Lord Shiva has gone completely wild. He lost his senses completely due to Sati's leaving her body. So then Vishnu released his Sudarshan chakra, and the chakra started to cut Sati's body. Her body was cut into 52 pieces, and they fell at different places, and those places became the 52 pithas of Sati, Durga, Mahamaya. And Kamakha is one of the places where actually her groin actually fell. And so anyway, this Brahmana was a worshipper of Devi, because in that region people are naturally attracted to Kamakha Devi, they worship her. And one night, the Brahmana had a dream. Devi appeared to him in a dream and gave him 10-syllabled Gopal mantra. And in a dream, she also instructed him how to meditate on that mantra. So, this Brahmana, then being instructed or receiving the mantra in a dream, he took it seriously and he started to chant the mantra. And due to his chanting the mantra, he started to lose interest for material enjoyment. And he realized the goal of life is not to have just sense gratification. The goal of life has some higher purpose. Yet he didn't know what that purpose was. He understood that sense gratification is not the goal, but yet he did not know what is actually the goal. So losing interest for mundane activities and sense gratification, One day he left home. So after leaving home, he started to wander around, going from one place of pilgrimage to another. And then he came to the place where Ganga meets the ocean, called Ganga Sagar, which is near Calcutta. So there he saw many people. They were asking, they are actually worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead with some mundane desires. They all were householders. And so he started to associate with them, who were just describing about the occupational duties and those brahmanas were performing only their prescribed duties for material benefit. And being in their association, he developed his faith in what they were talking about, and he started to follow their way according to their instructions. Yet out of his respect for the goddess Durga or Kamakha, he continued to chant the mantra. And by the influence of the mantra, he felt no inner satisfaction by performing those rituals. So he left that place and he started to wander around, he started to travel. And then he came to Kashi, Benares, on the bank of the Ganges. And he found that the sannyasis were populating that place, and they were talking about the ultimate goal of life is to merge into Brahma Jyoti. So he became quite interested in their teachings also. And he felt that these sannyasis were very learned, very wise. Their words described liberation as something which is so easily available. As if like there's an expression that they used here, an amalaki in their hand. Amalaki is avla. It's a small fruit quite available in Vrindavan, especially at this time of the year. It's so easily available. Liberation is just so easily achievable. And they were describing the doctrines of the Vedanta, glorifying renunciation and liberation. And he developed a desire to become a sannyasi like them. But still, out of his respect for the goddess, Durga Devi, he never gave up chanting the mantra. And one day, he saw the deity of his mantra in a dream. That mantra is actually in Gopal mantra. So the personality of that mantra is Gopal, Madan Gopal. So he saw Madan Gopal in a dream. And he was so enchanting, he was so beautiful. The charm of Gopal attracted him so much that he experienced the greatest ecstasy, that some kind of joy that filled his heart in such a way that he never experienced before. He was completely overwhelmed with that. And confused about what he should do, he became depressed. And when his dream broke, then he was wondering, That personality who appeared in my dream, why did he disappear? Why can't I see him anymore? So he kept on lamenting in total depression. So then in another dream, Lord Shiva appeared to him. And then Lord Shiva, who appeared along with Durga Devi, his worshipper, whom he received the mantra from. And Lord Shiva told him, chastised him mildly, you fool, don't take sannyas. Go at once to Mathura. There, in the forest of Vrindavan, you will surely fulfill all your desires. So upon receiving that instruction, he left Kashi, Benares, and he left for Vrindavan. On the way to Vrindavan, as you know, is after Benares is Prayag, Allahabad. So he came to Prayag, which is considered to be a Prayag Raj, the king of all places of pilgrimage. And there he found that many saintly personalities have gathered there and to take bath. They were celebrating the Magh Mela. In the month of Magh, a great festival takes place in Prayag. And so they all gathered there, and they were conducting a great festival to worship Vishnu. And they were chanting the holy name of the Lord loudly and with music, and they were dancing. Some of them were crying, sobbing, and so seeing that, this Brahmana, he just asked them, my dear musicians, dear chanters and dancers, loudly crying out, Rama, Krishna, you are adorned with beautiful tilak and attractive garlands. Please come down for a moment and stop making such a racket. What is the ceremony you are observing? Whom are you so reverently worshipping? So hearing that, some of the Vaishnavas simply laughed at him. And some others told him, you fool, just be quiet. And yet some others took some mercy upon him and told him that, oh bewildered son of a Brahmana, don't you understand anything? Don't ever again address devotees of Vishnu like that and speak to them in such a way. And they describe that initiated by our gurus, we always worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu with the mantras and methods our gurus have given us. We are worshipping the Lord in various forms. Some of us worship Him in the feature as Nrsimha, some as Vamana, some as Raghunath, and others as Sri Gopal. And hearing that, the Brahmana felt very ashamed, very embarrassed. And with great humility, yet with joy, he asked, where does this Lord live? What is He like? What benefits is He able to grant? The Vaishnavas then told him that He is the Supreme Master and He always lives everywhere, both within and without. And no one is equal to Him, and no one is equal to Him or superior to Him. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they directed him to the temple of Madhava and said, just bow down in front of Madhav and behold him, the direct manifestation of the Lord of the universe, and soon you will understand for yourself all this, what I have said, and much more. So while looking at Madhava, this boy, this Brahmana, noticed some likeness of appearance between Madhava and his worshipable Lord Madan Gopal. He saw some similarity. But at the same time he felt that my Lord doesn't have 4 arms. This personality is holding conch, lotus, club and disc in his 4 hands. But my Madhav doesn't, my Madan Gopal doesn't carry those 4 articles in 4 hands. But at the same time, he began to consider that the Madhav, Lord of the universe, was the object of worship for all the Vaishnavas, and that his object of worship was someone else. He felt that the personality that those Vaishnavas were worshipping is someone different from his worshipable Lord. And but at the same time he felt that my worshipable Lord has some semblance, some resemblance to him. And he felt my Lord takes care of the cows in the forest along with his many cowherd friends. He holds a flute to his mouth and is decorated with forest ornaments. Just like an ordinary person, he transgresses the religious principle of saints, being always addicted to playful sports with all the cowherd girls. So he doesn't follow the saintly code of conduct. He is just playing with these young girls who are cowherd girls. And then the Brahmana continued chant, but yet he continued to chant the mantra in seclusion as before. And by the power of his saintly companion of the Vaishnavas, he would see his Lord as if directly in person. Because of the nature of his, the object of his, because of the nature of his meditation, he sometimes fainted in ecstasy, and when he woke up and noticed that the time for chanting his mantra had been lost, he would lament. Due to ecstasy, he would faint, and when he come back to his senses, he would feel, oh, the time has, I couldn't finish my rounds, I couldn't chant the mantra. And so in this way, then one day, however, while lamenting in this way, he began to feel drowsy from fasting. He saw Lord Madhava, who consoled him and gave him his instructions. Madhava then told him, "Dear Brahmana, please remember the words of Vaishnavas, the husband of Uma. Please remember the words of Visheshwar, Lord Shiva, the husband of Uma, and go to Vrindavan following this course of Jamuna, following the walking through the shores of Jamuna, he'll come to Vrindavan. So go there, Lord Shiva asked you to do that." Then coming to Mathura, he took bath in Vishranti Ghat, Vishranti Tirtha, because that is Sanatana Goswami mentioned that is one must visit Vrindavan. First go to Mathura, take bath in Vishranti Ghat, and then go to Vrindavan. And when he came to Vrindavan, he felt very enlivened, and while chanting, he saw in meditation most of the companions and surroundings from Krishna's pastimes. So in this way, he came to Vrindavan. So one day he heard, when he was just walking, wandering around Vrindavan in the forest, he heard someone was crying. And following the sound of his cry, he came to this one personality who was a young boy, and his feature was so handsome, and that he at first thought that this must be Madan Gopal. And he called out, "Oh Gopal, oh Gopal." And this young man was the crest jewel of those who knew everything. As he regained his external consciousness upon hearing that, he told him that, "I'm not Gopal." And he said, "I know that you are a Brahmana from Pragjatishpur. You have been blessed by Kamakha Devi, and you are worshipping Madan Gopal." And he embraced him. And then he started to tell him. And he actually also, seeing him, became so attracted that right from the very first meeting, this Brahmana, who was also quite young, he considered this other person whom he met in Vrindavan to be a very dear friend. He just felt that some intense attraction for him. And then this person decided to help him. He would tell his own story. And he mentioned to him that although one should not speak about his own life story, but to benefit you, I will tell you my own story. To bring him to this realization, first I must tell him my own history in full. That will clear away all his doubts. So he resolved that. He felt that this person is indeed a recipient of Lord's mercy and he needs help. So I'll guide him. And how I'll guide him? I'll tell him my own life story, my own history. And although describing one's own glories is disapproved by spiritual authorities, but nothing else I could tell will bring about his good fortune. So this person, whose name is Gop Kumar, he started to narrate his own story. And he told him that I am a son of a Vaishya of Govardhan area. And my occupation was to tend the cows. And I used to tend my own cows, and that's how I used to spend my days with my many other friends who also used to bring their cows, and together we used to go to the pasturing ground and take care of our cows. And while we are tending our cows in the forest, we used to see one personality who used to wander from place to place. He was very renounced, and his body appeared just like that of a demigod. He was so beautiful, so handsome. But he did not have any external consciousness. Like he was, sometimes he used to chant something. He used to loudly call out something, call out to somebody. And sometimes he used to laugh, sometimes he used to cry, sometimes he used to dance, and sometimes he used to faint and roll in the ground. And so, although he did not have his external consciousness, he was not at all affected by his surrounding or did not have any awareness of his surrounding. But when out of curiosity we used to go near him, like little children becomes curious seeing such a person. So when we used to go to him, he used to display deep affection to us. He used to embrace us, and as if we were his deep, intimate friends. And we also had a lot of respect for him, affection for him, and we used to offer him milk, our cow's milk. And sometimes, so out of, but when he saw us, when he saw us in front of him, he used to bow down to us, offer respect to us. Although, we were just little boys. Then one day, when I was alone, he told me that I will give you something very, very precious. I'll give you a gift which will fulfill all your desires. Please go and take bath in Keshi Ghat, and then accept from me this mercy of the Lord of the universe. I will give you a gift which will fulfill all desires, all your desires, which is actually the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then after taking bath, when Gopkumar came to the Brahmana, then Brahmana gave him the Gopal mantra. And he started to describe the objective of the mantra. And this way, when he started to speak about the mantra Dev, the personality of the mantra, he became so overwhelmed with emotion that he started to cry like a person who has become separated from his dearmost one. And when he gained his consciousness, when he came back to his normal consciousness, he just stood up and walked away. So he got the mantra from the Guru, but he did not get any instruction how to chant the mantra and who is the worshipable Lord of that mantra, the personality of that mantra. And Gopkumar didn't have any idea about the mantra, but still, since his Guru told him to chant the mantra, he started to chant. He's saying that in first person. He's saying, I had no idea what this mantra was that I had received, what fruit its chanting would bear, or even how the mantra was to be practiced. Simply out of respect for the Brahmana's words, I constantly chanted the mantra in a secluded place. By the influence of the great person, even such aimless chanting purified my mind. I developed faith in the mantra. And because he told that this is the mantra to be the means for achieving the Lord of the universe, I became completely absorbed in chanting with full conviction, full faith. And then Gopkumar started to describe. I became eager to know who this Lord of the universe was and when I might be able to see him. With this as my only aspiration, I abandoned my home and other attachments and went to the bank of the Ganges. There I saw a learned Brahmana worshipping Shalagram Shila. So seeing that, I bowed down and asked him, "My dear master, who are you worshipping? What are you worshipping?" The laughing, that person replied, "My dear boy, don't you know that this is the Lord of the universe?" Hearing that, I felt unlimited happiness. Oh, this is the Lord of the universe that my mantra will reveal to me. So he found that he found the Lord of the universe. And so he respectfully started to watch how the Brahmana was worshipping the Lord of the universe. And after bathing him, he offered him some food, very simple, and then he gave him the water that he bathed the Lord with and gave him some prasad. And then after completing his worship that he was doing on the bank of the Ganges, he put the Shalagram Shila in a small box and closed the box. And seeing that, Gopkumar cried out, "My God, what are you doing? You are putting the Supreme Lord into a box? Such an unfit place, and he hasn't even eaten. How will he sleep if he is still hungry?" So that Brahmana became very embarrassed and full of humility, shyly, he replied, "O new Vaishnava, what more can this poor man do? I can offer to the Lord of the universe only the meals I prepare for myself. If you are eager to see the opulence of the Lord, the opulent worship of the Lord, and great festival of his worship, then please go to the capital city of this country's very saintly ruler. And he is so attached to the worship of the Lord in great love, you'll find his city not far away, and there you can behold the Lord of the universe, who is so difficult to see. But for now, please come to my house and have lunch with me. From the remnants, what has been offered to the Lord." But upon hearing about this king and how opulently he is worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Gopkumar, although he was quite hungry, he decided not to go, and he just left for the kingdom of the king. And when he came to the kingdom of the king, from a distance he could hear the sound of chanting and music with instruments. And and then he went there and he saw that how wonderfully the Lord of the universe is being worshipped. He saw his beautiful four-armed forms and his hands resplendent with conch shell, disc, lotus and club, and all the parts of his body were exquisitely attractive, and his complexion resembled a new rain cloud. Words can hardly describe the beauty of that personality. And Gopkumar thought that from now on I'll just live here, I'll just stay here. And now that I have found what I've always wanted to see, now my life has become successful. I shall never go away from this place. And he began to live in that temple. So there he would just spend his day, whatever little remnants he got from the brahmanas, he was just eat that. And throughout the day he would see with such grand arrangement the Lord was being worshipped. And at night he would just sleep in one corner of the temple. And so he started to stay there. In the meantime, the king of the country was sonless, and although Gopkumar was a foreigner, the king developed some attachment to him, and he accepted him as his son, adopted him as his son. And when the king died, Gopkumar became the king. Although he became the king, he didn't have any interest in the royal affairs. So he used to feel great distress and anxiety. There were so many responsibilities, and on top of everything, there were always the threat of some other king may attack his kingdom, and the monarch who was superior to them and he was subordinate, the monarch would make all kinds of demands which were very, very distressful at times. So he became, and which was actually affecting his peace of mind and affecting the chanting of the mantra. So he handed over the kingdom to the ministers and the other sons of the king, and but still he kept on staying there. But because everybody knew him due to his exalted position there, he used to find that still there was so much disturbance. Then one day some saintly personalities came and they started to describe about the Lord on the bank of the saltwater ocean in a place called Purushottam Kshetra, Nilachal mountain. And so at Purushottam Kshetra, on the blue mountain, on the shore of the salt ocean, Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, the personality of Godhead, is present as the absolute truth manifested in wood. With infinite opulence, the Lord himself rules the kingdom of Utkal. He displays his unique glories and always takes affectionate care of his devotees. So upon hearing that, Gopkumar became so eager to see that place. He became so desirous, so eager to see Lord Jagannath that he left that place and abandoned everything and set out for Nilachal, Purushottam Kshetra, chanting Lord Jagannath's glory. Then he saw, coming there, he saw Lord Jagannath. His sight of him increased the pleasure of his eyes and mind. And So he watched his devotees busily singing, dancing, playing music, offering prayers, and bewildered by seeing that supremely splendorous, opulent worship, he fainted and fell to the floor. And when he came to his senses, he looked at him again, and like a madman, he ran to catch hold of him. And at that time, he was stopped by the guards who hit him with a stick. So he came back to his senses. He realized that he did something very bad. He did something wrong. And he felt so embarrassed that he left the temple. He went out. And there he received some prasad of Lord Jagannath. And then he came back to the temple again, and he just stood there all day looking at Lord Jagannath. So it described, then he saw all the glory, wonderful festivals that were taking place at night. The Lord was dressed and ornamented in elaborate splendor. And a great festival took place at that time. And finally, after a great ceremony with offerings of palmfuls of flowers, the Lord took leave in the temple. So in this way, Gopkumar started to stay in Jagannath Puri, seeing the Lord Jagannath and enjoying his association and worship. And he felt at that time that he achieved the ultimate goal of his chanting of the mantra. And then he started to feel so ecstatic, seeing the form of Lord Jagannath, his eyes like two fully bloomed lotuses, his head decorated with tilak made of most precious gems, his hands stretched out as if he is trying to he is eager to embrace his devotees, most intimate devotees. So he was feeling such ecstasy that he even stopped chanting. He started to not stop chanting, he started to neglect his chanting. And then in this way he but then he was reminded by the Lord, don't neglect your chanting. And one day when he fell sick at heart, he saw his spiritual master standing in front of Lord Jagannath, overwhelmed by the highest ecstasy of loving devotion. But he saw his spiritual master, and then he looked at Jagannath, and he became so absorbed in seeing Jagannath, he didn't notice when his spiritual master left. So although he came so close to his spiritual master once again, he couldn't really meet him. Then he started to look for him everywhere, and then finally he found him on the bank of the ocean. He was ecstatically chanting and dancing alone in ecstasy. Hare Krishna. So then he offered obeisances to his spiritual master. And the spiritual master then noticed him, and the spiritual master embraced him. And then the spiritual master, his guru, he started to instruct him about the mantra and the objective of chanting the mantra. The who is the personality, who he is worshipping by chanting the mantra. And he told him that chanting the mantra is the highest service. So in this way his spiritual master instructed him. And in the meantime, the king of that country died. And his eldest son did not want to become the king. So then the ministers started to look for a suitable personality to ascend the throne of that kingdom. And so they found all these auspicious signs in the personality of Gopkumar. So they made him the king. So in this way, he started to reside, but there also he lost his interest for being a king. And he used to feel great separation from Vrindavan, where he spent his early days as a cowherd boy. Like his attachment to Vrindavan still remained in his heart. But in Jagannath Puri, he would find there's some resemblance of Vrindavan in the forest of Jagannath Puri. And in many gardens of his abode would appear to him as Vrindavan. And he used to see the sea as Jamuna and the slope of Niladri hill as Govardhan. In this way, he continued to live there happily. Every day after taking darshan of the Lord, he used to chant his mantra, following the order of his worshipable Guru and hoping to achieve his desired perfection. And when he became the king, the ministers actually consulted Lord Jagannath, the Lord, and took his command, and after observe and made Gopkumar the king of that place. It was on the order of Lord Jagannath that they made him the king. But after becoming a king, all he wanted is to improve the worship of various festivals of Lord Jagannath in Puri. And out of 12 major festivals, the most important among them was the Ratha Jatra festival, when the Lord used to leave the temple and go to Gundicha. And in this way he was taking care of the kingdom, offering the kingdom with all its royal enjoyments at the lotus feet of Jagannath. In a completely dependent mood, he took his pleasure simply serving the Lord. With his dearest permanent servants, the Lord enjoyed confidential talks and sometimes displayed intimate, loving pastimes. And when Gopkumar heard the songs, prayers, and congregational chanting of the Lord's name in front of Lord Jagannath, he felt disturbed in his heart because that reminded him of Vrindavan. Because Jagannath's pastimes are the pastimes of Vrindavan. And but the Lord was so merciful to him that he couldn't leave his lotus feet. So he continued to stay there. And because of his involvement in ruling the kingdom, his heart could never feel the complete spontaneous ecstasy it used to feel from seeing the Lord. Here also he started to feel some disturbance of being a king, that the ecstasy that he used to feel otherwise before he became a king was missing. So he handed over the burden of ruling the kingdom to his sons and ministers and relatives of the previous king, and as before, he became uninvolved and aloof. He continued to live nearby, happily chanting the mantra in private and offering services at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, as he always wanted. But because of the honor and respect he received from the populace, he could no longer feel happiness in Puri, and so he lost interest in staying there. So early in the morning, one day, he went to Lord Jagannath to ask his permission to leave for Vrindavan. But when he saw his beautiful face, he forgot all his plans. He went to Jagannath to ask for his permission to leave, but just by seeing Jagannath, he couldn't. He changed his plan. His plan changed. In this way, 1 year went by, and then one day some pilgrims came there and they started to describe the glory of Mathura. And so hearing that, he again became so attached, so eager to go back to Mathura, that night, when he was lying in his bed, tormented by sorrow and pain, the Supreme Lord Jagannath appeared to him. And he told him, "My dear boy, as this city is dear to me, as this place is dear to me, so is my birthplace. Sri Mathura is even more dear. Mathura is even more dear to me than this place. Mathura is adorned with various sights of my childhood pastimes. Just as I live always here in Puri, wandering about everywhere, so do I in Mathura," Jagannath told him. "Why constantly lament, wavering between one decision and another? Just go to Mathura, and in time you will surely see me in the form you desire." So early that morning, at my residence, he received a flower garland from some Pujari Brahmana, indicating the Lord's command. And he put that garland on his neck, bowing down from a distance, offering his obeisances to the chakra on top of the temple. He left for Mathura. So in this way, the first chapter of the second part ends. I'm happy that I could end it in time. Now the problem is, there are 7 such chapters, 8 such chapters. I'm wondering, how am I going to cover all that? And anyway, let us see, maybe I'll try to go a little faster. Let us see these first few chapters. Let me try to cover little elaborately, just to give an idea. As I said yesterday, what I'm trying to do is just to give you an overview of this wonderful scripture by Sanatana Goswami, which is actually taking us to the highest region of devotional service. Devotional service in Vrindavan, in the mood of the gopis. That is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is Aradha Bhagavan Brojesho Tanai. The supreme worshipable personality of Godhead is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Tadhama Vrindavanam, and his abode is Vrindavan. The supreme personality of Godhead always resides in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the abode of the supreme personality of Godhead, who is the son of Nanda Maharaj, not the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Krishna Anna Jadu Sambhuta, the Krishna who appeared in the Jadu dynasty, is different. Because this Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityajya kutra kadapi na gacchati. And that Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj. And the highest form of worship is the way the cowherd damsels worshipped him. Ramma kachi dupashana brajabodhu vargena jakolpita. The way the brajabodhus, the cowherd damsels, worship Krishna, that is the highest form of worship. So that is the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now the question may arise, what is the proof? The Vedic presentation must be substantiated by scriptural evidence. No room for mental speculation. Must be substantiated by scriptural evidence. So what is the scriptural evidence about this statement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or these teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. The spotless Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, is the proof of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presentation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. And Prema Pumartha Mahan, to achieve that loving devotion to Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam. That is the teachings, that is the conclusion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presentation. Tatra Dharanapara. Just with full conviction accept that. There is no need to accept anything else. So that is the conclusion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presentation. This has been presented. This statement is by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Shyama Sundar ki jai. Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Shrila Prabhupada.